Tonight, armed and masked men pull off a brazen daylight robbery at the Mon Bakery. The owners believe it might be an inside job.
3 of them, and all 3 had a big gun.
Police say they were not aware that a man shot at Lance Road was mentally unstable and explained a series of events that led up to the police shooting. And 50 employees of the Fish Marketing Corporation are outraged about facing redundancy. We have the details of these stories and more coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good evening. It is Tuesday, the 5th of February 2019. Welcome to the Hot 7 Nightly News. I am Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. Bandits ambushed staff at the Mon Bakery, holding them up at gunpoint and making off with cash. The owners spoke with Hot 7 Nightly News. Rochelle Gonzalez reports.
Bandits have struck again, this time striking fear into the staff and customers of the Mon Bakery on Tuesday afternoon, robbing them at gunpoint. According to accounts from the employees, 3 masked bandits came in through the front door and bolted towards the back office, where they took off with a significant amount of money. The employees also revealed that the bandits also targeted shoppers who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, relieving them too of their belongings. Melina Minville, who works at the establishment, gave her account of what transpired.
3 of them, and all 3 had a big gun. A lady was there buying, they knocked the lady with the gun, they hit the lady with the gun, she fall down, and then they just come and they knew exactly where the cash register was. They just took the money and they go.
One sat at the front and 2. One sat at the front and 2 came inside.
Minville said she is convinced that the incident is not random.
They make everybody give them the money. They take money from the cash, the cash register there, and they knew exactly where the lady was doing her bank deposit, and they know exactly where they will go to, exactly when they take it from her.
So what would you be saying if that's something from inside?
Yes, it have to do with people from inside. Yeah, I'm not saying that everybody is from inside, but the person know exactly what time they're doing that, and the person know exactly, because they just bring some money here for me, and the person knew, so it has to be inside job. I would say yes, somebody probably up here call, because they just bring my rental money for me, and the people was just about to hand over, and they come at that time. They took the cash registers, the people from the money from the people, and they go straight to the office.
According to Minville, this is the 3rd time the establishment has been robbed. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
Thank you, Rochelle. The press office of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is speaking out on the matter surrounding the shooting of an armed man along Lance Road on Monday, with allegations swirling around claiming that the man was mentally unstable. Police say when faced with such uncertainties, the main priority is to protect their lives as well as the lives of all civilians in that area.
The press office of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force has addressed Monday morning's police shooting, revealing that officers acted by the books in an attempt to defuse a possibly deadly situation. Corporal Ann Joseph, who is attached to the Press Relations Office, said on Monday at about 10:20 a.m., officers received information of a male who has since been identified as Mervyn B. Harry, who was allegedly in possession of a firearm at Lance Road, Castries. A team of both uniformed and plainclothed officers responded to the call, and upon arrival, they met a male carrying what appeared to be a firearm. They attempted to speak to the individual, however, the situation escalated from there.
The suspect proceeded to point the firearm in the direction of the officers, causing them to discharge rounds in his direction, resulting in him sustaining an injury to the leg. An officer attempted to restrain the suspect, who engaged in a physical altercation with that officer while still in possession of the firearm. During that time, the suspect sustained a second injury to the chest area. He was thereafter disarmed and conveyed to the Victoria Hospital, where he is currently admitted in stable condition.
When asked whether officers on the scene were informed that the male was reportedly of unsound mind, Corporal Joseph said this was not communicated to them. She also stated that to date, this information has not yet been confirmed. With that said, she continued on to say that a person's mental capacity would have little bearing in such situations.
The person's mental capability would actually be something for persons like, for example, a medical practitioner or something like that. If you're the responding officer, you deal with the situation that is at hand. And if you're confronted with somebody holding a firearm, you deal with it accordingly. And if you are a citizen and you're facing a situation where somebody has a firearm, you're not going to say because the person is mentally unstable or not mentally unstable, you should do this or not do this. Your life is at risk. And there are certain courses of action that are provided in legislation that you can take. And that is what you have to do. Make a determination as to the facts that are presented to you, the situation that you are facing. If you are confronted with a situation where deadly force can be used and is to be used, you use that. The ultimate responsibility of the police is to preserve life and property. And if you are in a situation where your life is at risk, you protect your life and you protect the life of whoever is around you, the public. That is your primary focus as a police officer. As it relates to dealing with mentally unstable persons and training for officers, obviously you would always welcome any additional training that you can get. But what I can say again is with no amount of training is not going to change the fact that if you're confronted with a situation where your life is at risk or the life of the persons that you work with, your colleagues or the members of the public, your primary focus is to preserve life, whether it is yours or that of another.
Corporal Joseph confirmed that officers followed every procedure which fell in accordance with legislation. Reports circulating indicated that the gun carried by the male was in fact a toy. However, the corporal cleared up any confusion surrounding the matter.
There are various sections of the Firearms Act that speak to dealing with an imitation firearm. An imitation firearm has to be dealt with according to legislation just as a genuine firearm with firing capabilities would be dealt with. There's section 22 of the Firearms Act that speaks to where somebody is in possession of a firearm, imitation or not. It is dealt with the same way as a genuine firearm. The penalties are the same. Sections 27 and 28 of that same piece of legislation also speak to an imitation firearm. And if you guys want, I can give you the definition of what an imitation firearm is. It says, any toy or object having the appearance of a firearm, whether or not it is capable of discharging a shot, bullet, or other missile. And this is what the legislation says an imitation firearm is.
Corporal Joseph said whether the gun was real or not, the carrier could face the same charges applied to carriers of illegal firearms. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
The former deputy leader of the Lucian People's Movement, Felicia Brown, has congratulated her former LPM leader, Thurl Prudent, after he made the decision to dissolve the party and to join the ranks of the opposition St. Lucia Labour Party. Brown says she held discussions with Prudent to forge a way ahead after one of their main supporters passed away. The discussions, she said, evolved in certain ways to determine how they could continue to advocate for the rights of people as well as how they could continue to make a contribution to St. Lucia. Brown revealed that it was from this discussion that Prudent felt it was within his democratic rights to join one of the island's leading parties. As for her future with the party, Brown says this is left to be seen as there is still work to be done.
I believe every St. Lucian has the right to join whatever political party that he or she feels comfortable with, particularly with the various political ideologies of the party. I wish to applaud Mr. Prudent in taking that stand and wanting to join the SLP party, and which is now the current opposition party, and I wish him well in his endeavors. As for me as an individual, it's still up to a decision for me to make as a former LPM deputy leader, to see what my supporters think about whatever move that I make. Also, it's very important that we as women continue to make our strides in elective politics, and so I shouldn't be deterred in any way joining a party or continuing with the LPM as well, because we still have a lot of persons who believe in the ideologies of LPM.
Brown says she wishes that the party could continue its premise of advocating for change and wanting to help create and be a part of a better St. Lucia. But alas, the decision has already been made. She said the party gave Prudent its blessings. However, they will not dictate or persuade other members to follow suit, as it is also their right to choose their political affiliation.
At this stage, the LPM has transitioned with the SLP party. I want to make that very clear. The party as a whole has moved and joined alliances with the SLP party. But at the same time, the individuals who may have who are waiting to see what is going to happen, and there are also individuals that may feel much more comfortable with the SLP or the UWP. And so we have to also understand that with a political party, the party leaders and the politicians that are involved are just one part of the party. The supporters as well, they're persons that voted for us, and at this stage we have to tell them, well, this is the decision that we've made. And so it's entirely up to them whether to follow us as a party or if it's their decision not to follow any party. And so at this stage, primarily, this is still fairly new. A lot of persons are still awakening to hear the news of that. So for us, for me as an individual, for me as a former member of the party, I believe that it is this time for us to allow persons to make that decision on their own.
While Brown did not disclose which party she has chosen to join, she revealed that her future plans where elective politics is concerned is to join a political party which discusses issues of women, has a mandate for women, and encourages more women to become political candidates. In other news, the St. Lucia Fire Service has provided clarity on an accident that took place on the 4th of February. Solange Alfred has the details.
An accident that occurred on February 4, 2019, near the East Winds Gap along the Groseley Highway, has left one man nursing injuries. Following up with Station Officer in the St. Lucia Fire Service Department, Jermaine William, he says that a high level of care was used while removing the injured from the destroyed vehicle. He says that the injured man is lucky to have sustained minor injuries in comparison to the extensive damage that the vehicle underwent.
The gentleman had to be extricated yesterday from the vehicle by our officers. In terms of his overall condition, he's in very stable condition, and he suffered a few injuries. In light of the extent of the damages to the vehicle, I would consider those injuries kind of minor. But he has, well, externally as we can see, he has no life-threatening injuries. At the scene, the EMS director indicated that he was stable, he was breathing, his breathing was normal and all of that. So the prognosis is good.
Station Officer Jermaine William went on to dispel rumors that the incident occurred due to speeding.
Accidents do happen, and that was clearly a case where it was an accident. It wasn't a case where persons were speeding or anything of that nature. I mean, it was just unfortunate that occurred at that time.
Meanwhile, reliable sources have divulged to Hot 7 News that a wheel of the vehicle blew out, which caused the freak accident to occur. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News. Still to come, the mayor cracks down on haphazard vending in the city. A major shakeup is coming for struggling regional airline Liad. And let's hear it for the boys. Stay with us.